Guys, this is Sanjay again. So we have already completed the complete instance that we have created with the gcloud command and the complete instance we have created with the terraform. Now we create the complete instance with the same terraform, but this time we are going to externalize the configuration. So in order to externalize the configuration, what we are going to do, we are going to create the empty repository in GitHub. Then we are going to copy our main.tf.sh main.tf from the previous tutorial we used. Then we are going to externalize the variable with terraform.tfvars, which is gonna hold the variable values, variable.tf, and the main.tf we are going to update with all the variables that we are going to mention in terraform.tfvars. So variable.tf will have the declaration of the variable that we are going to define in terraform.tfvars. The definition will be there in terraform.tfvars, and we'll use all this variable in main.tf. So let's go ahead and let's see it on the tutorial itself. And we'll be working with the PyCharm now. And if you haven't seen that, just go through my previous video, which is you can set up the Terraform with the PyCharm, as well as how you can create the free Google account. So let's clone the empty repository that we have created on our GitHub. Now go to VCS, Git, and let's clone. Alright, so yes, now attach. Alright, so we have our empty repository with the readme file. Now let's copy the main.tf. We have it on the previous video that we created. Let's copy it under the new one. Alright, we'll keep the name as same. Cancel it. Alright, now we have to externalize all the variables that we see here. Now let's create our new file, which is terraform.tfvars, which will hold our variable definition. Now let's create another new file, not here, new file, which will be variables.tf, where we'll have the declaration. So I'll add the multiple use cases where you can set default or where you can pass it in the terraform.tfvars. We'll see those are multiple use cases. So first we are going to define our project ID. Let's see, type is as a string. Yeah. So let's keep default as empty. Now description, that's a project ID. So please mention your project ID here. Now let's change your main.tf and let's mention our variable here. So how you can mention is it's a var.project ID. That's a syntax. Now let's mention in project ID that we're going to pass in terraform.tfvars. So we are passing the value here. We are declaring the value here. Now let's change the region. So this is how we're going to change all the variables. So here I can keep the default value inside the variables.tf itself. So I don't have to mention it inside the terraform.tfvars. So this is another use case where you can keep your default values if you know that this is what you're going to use most of the times. And you can also, means here it is written as a default, but you can also override it by mentioning it in the tf.tfvars. But yeah, let's go update another variable. Okay. Right. All right. So let's mention var.region, and yeah, we did var.zone before. So zone we already mentioned there. All right. So let's mention zone, which we're gonna overwrite as a US East 1C. So remember we mentioned the default zone as a US East 1B. Now we are overwriting it with US East 1C. All right. Let's update this guy as well. So we are keeping default machine type as N1 standard one. And let's override it with N1 standard 2. So that's another use case for you. Let's declare the variable. So I'll just fast forward the video sometime, so at least I'll save you time. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna declare the variable, define the variable, and we're gonna update the main.tf with the variable variable name. So just to let you know guys that if you are not mentioning any type or any default or any description in the variable there in the variable, so it will take everything as a default type as a string or everything. You really don't have to mention all those things, but it's a good practice you mention what type you're going to use. So let's run our Terraform plan now. Let's see Terraform init first. See Terraform plan. Okay, there's a problem with the zone. Oh, we didn't double quote that. Okay, it's run. Alright, it's working. Took all the values from our TFVars. Let's open our console so we can see what's happening there when we are running the Terraform apply. Alright, say yes. It's creating the instance. Alright, the instance is created. Cool. Here we go. Our second instance is ready. So there is no external IP. And always destroy the instance whenever you are done. So I'm just saving some money here because next time we'll go with the next tutorial. At least we have some money to work with. We'll still have enough, so don't worry about that. So it's still destroying. See, it's gone. Great. So when you run the Terraform plan again, see there is no change, right? Now there is no external IP here. So let's make sure we have the external IP. Now just add the, and we'll add another block here, which is access config. So if you're adding the access config block, it will assign the external IP for you. Otherwise, it will keep as an internal IP. Because access config decides means what kind of access, and so it means how you can access your VM through internet. So now we have a new access config block here. It will give us the external IP now. All right, one change. See, here we go. Great. So we got the external IP too. Great, guys. I think this is what I wanted to add, and here we conclude our video with everything. And we have, so here is our repository you can go with. I'll add those in our description, and I'll commit all those changes. So you have that one as well, all the changes that I made in our repository. All right, here you go. So I'll add some more description in my in the description area, and I'll see you soon then. Thank you very much.